I'm ecstatic. I think what a lot of people saw on Saturday night is who Pierre is. A lot of people are talking about his speech and saying how great of a speech it was and how we need to hear more of that from Pierre. And at the end of the day, that is who Pierre is. What he's talking about for Canadians, and even when he talks about freedom, he's talking about getting government out of the way so that people who work hard, no matter who you are as a Canadian, no matter, what God you pray to, no matter, who you're in love with, no matter what color of skin, no matter your ethnicity, where you come from, whether you were born here or whether you immigrated here, if you're a Canadian who works hard, you should be able to see the fruits of your labor. You should be able to see success and keep more of your money in your pocket. And that requires getting government out of the way. And that's what Pierre is talking about. When he talks about freedom, it's not just freedom as in the freedom convoy. It's the freedom for people to be able to work hard and see that pay off. And that starts with getting government out of the way.
Yeah, and that's no different, by the way, than, almost every conservative leader in all our lifetimes. What is different, and this is what I wrote down. I can't find the tweet that I was looking at. But what I didn't do is I wasn't worried about what you tweeted. What I did is I looked at the people that comment on your tweet. And then I looked at some of their profiles. And that's really, let me try and explain this. The problem with all of it is this. There's nothing about what you just said that you couldn't have said, that Stephen Harper said, Mulroney said. It's a conservative point of view, and that's fine, and you can debate that. But what's happened is the people that are supporting him, the people that commented on your tweet, some of them are not all about, smaller government, less taxes. Like, there's some pretty sketchy folks. And they're a little bit more of the right-wing sort of, you know what I'm talking about? Like, sort of like the QAnon-ish, not exactly, but look at some of the people that commented on your latest tweets. Like, some of them are they're pretty scary. They're like the anti-vax. They're like do you know what I mean? They are the freedom convoy people.
Right. So what should we do with them?
Well, they've always been there, Jackie. That's actually.
Exactly, yeah.
They've always been there. They've always supported. This goes back to Mulroney and I've said this. I'm from out west, so the rise of the alt-right is nothing new in Western Canada. I guess what I'm getting at is not just what do we do with them. Is that different? What did I say yesterday? There's a bit of a stink on it. There's a little bit of a stink around Pierre Poilievre because of some of the support he gets.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not quite sure what it is he's supposed to do about that. That's the wonderful thing about this country and about democracy is everybody gets to have a say and everybody gets to have a vote. And I'm not quite sure what he's supposed to do about the people that some of us might not agree with, right? Like, I'll put it simply, I don't agree with the conspiracy theories that are out there. That's not what I subscribe to. But I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I guess I look at it the same way I handle them on Twitter, right? I just don't take them seriously. Okay. I just don't.
Okay, from my perspective, here's the problem. All that aside, I've been a conservative since maybe my mid-20s. And my gut, my intuition, my gut, it just doesn't feel right to me. And that's what he's got to worry about. And I know, said to Howard, I know about half a dozen career conservative voters that are like, I don't know if I can vote for this guy. And again, whether it's valid or whether it's fair, that fringe over there that he seems to, he's actually communicated with, he's, talked with, that hurts him. And what he could do is maybe publicly denounce some of that stuff. Did he ever respond to the Christina Freeland thing?
He did.
Oh, okay. And I asked that question.
It took him less time than it took for Justin Trudeau to respond to Laith Marouf. Now, some people might say that's me playing whataboutism, but it's not. Right. Let's talk about it. It's like, why is it a conservative is always responsible for denouncing someone, but liberals are never responsible for denouncing crazies on their side? If we're going to get into the game of denounce, then all right, let's have at it. But everybody denounce them. The other thing is, something you just said, Freddie, about how, well, he talked to them. He communicated with them. You know what? Had Justin Trudeau gone out, well, not gone out face to face, but, not taking it literally, but had Justin Trudeau communicated to some of those people and said, as your prime minister, I understand your frustration. I understand we're all frustrated. We've all had it up to here with the pandemic. Had he spoken to them instead of at them and called them names and called them fringe with unacceptable views, they may not have been out there for 3 weeks. So, there's a responsibility on both sides.
No, and you know what? I absolutely can't argue with that because he didn't do that. And if he had, maybe the result would have been different. I can't argue.
Maybe, but I will say, I can argue with it because there was a lot of people. I may not be one of them, but I'm saying there was a lot of people that got behind Justin Trudeau for saying that thing. That thought that was leadership. That thought. Well, I know. I'm just saying, and here's what I would say as far as whataboutism goes. Just because it's Justin Trudeau doesn't necessarily make it bad. There were a lot of things. Here's the thing. We're all grown up adults. We've all been around this game a long time. I don't really have a problem. The fact that Pierre Poilievre has some of this fringe element around him, because I just pointed out it's always been there. I think what makes it a little bit nervous for a guy like Fred, who's a lifelong conservative, and me, that's an occasional conservative, is that, and I'm just saying, a lot of what's gone on in the States has kind of been, I think we're all a little bit, we're sort of conflating it together, and that's why it feels like if MAGA hadn't have been around, then all the stuff around Poilievre would just been like, oh yeah, that's always been there. The Reform Party, the Alberta fringe, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But do you not agree that some of it, Jackie, comes from our sort of PTSD over what's going on down there? It's true. It just is.
Look, absolutely. So,
and I think that hurts him. I think he's got to. He's got to work twice as hard.
Absolutely. Okay, so let me just say a couple of things. So first of all, when you say, he has these people around him, he doesn't have these people around him. If you the people he has around him advising him are not these people per se, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that. As far as the PTSD from MAGA and from Trump, I love it when the Liberals, even yesterday, Melanie Joly talking about, we don't want to import, the divisiveness that we see from the U.S. There are no greater imports of the divisiveness from the U.S. than the current Liberal Party, because the first thing they do when something happens in the U.S. is they jump on it and they intentionally conflate it with what's going on here in Canada because it works to their advantage.
Sure.
So, again, it's like, I don't want to play whataboutism, and I don't want to discount it. Now, I will also say to what you and Freddie are saying about, it's like, it's nervous. It makes me nervous for him. Mm-hmm. Back in, I guess it would have been 2003, I remember having knockdown, drag-out fights on air with a coworker about Stephen Harper. And I was saying I was willing to vote for the Liberals again. And this person was saying, how could you vote for them? It was the height of the sponsorship scandal. Mm-hmm. And I was saying a lot of what you guys are currently saying. I was saying about Stephen Harper. I was like, I don't know him. He's got some people around him. He kind of worries me. And
his eyes are too close together. That's a bad
thing. I said, I don't know. His eyes look shifty. And I didn't vote for him. And he got a minority. And I remember thinking I was okay with that because then that would give me an opportunity to see what he was about. But he was in a minority situation. And that man won me over to the point where I think he was perhaps the greatest prime minister this country ever has. So I would say what you and Freddie are expressing to me, it feels very similar to what I was feeling.
Sure.
So I can totally relate to that. I think what we need to do is I think we need to see some actual policies from Pierre. Like a lot of people are talking about they're afraid of what he's going to do. Well, what he's talked about doing so far is he's talked about increasing immigration. He's talked about cutting the red tape when it comes to credentialing new Canadians so that they can get into the workforce in their chosen field a lot sooner. He's talked about fighting climate change with technology, not taxes. We'll see what that looks like. But I mean, I don't, when you actually start talking to him about policy, I'm not quite sure what it is he's saying that people are fearful of.
Mm-hmm. Again, it was through the convoy and that attachment. Yeah. But listen, and we were talking about this yesterday. I'm in the show me stage. Show me now. Because I would never vote for Justin Trudeau. And the best and the biggest thing that Poilievre has working for him right now is Trudeau's performance. Yeah, he hasn't been a very good prime minister. I think he's just not. I don't trust him on so many levels. It's a trust thing with him. He's not the straight goods to me. I don't like him as a prime minister. So Poilievre, show us now. And one other point too, we mentioned this yesterday. When it comes to the media in Canada, I don't want to jump all over the media because again, a lot of those far right people and don't trust the media, and that nauseates me to some level. Generally speaking, in this country, conservatives get unfair criticism, and liberals, Justin Trudeau in particular, gets unfair accolades. And that's got to change a bit. But will it?
Yeah. I would also add, too, though, that, whatever bias the three of us have, which is definitely conservative leaning, even myself, right. We tend, well, it's true, though. I mean, I've said this for years. I'm very conservative when it comes to money. Mm-hmm. But like Fred and you, Jackie, I'm pretty liberal when it comes to people. And that kind of is a pretty, it's a snapshot of a lot of Canadians, I think. And I would also caution the three of us, because if there was somebody else on this discussion that could, tell you all the things the Liberals have done that weren't that bad. I mean, and say what you will about Justin Trudeau, but the pandemic response to a lot of people, I know you can poke holes in it, but was pretty good for Canadians, that he took care of people, that the response was measured. And I'm sure it could be better, but there would be somebody else that would argue that Trudeau hasn't been as terrible a prime minister. But let me finish by saying this. Justin Trudeau was elected with such limited experience. Pierre Poilievre, on the other hand, mm-hmm. One thing I'm going to give him is this. He's been in that game a long time. He's parliamentary experience is pretty deep. I know that he's been around for many years, but I'm saying the last few years when he sort of became part of our consciousness, like he's nobody's dummy. And I would just finish by saying that he's got a better resume going into this gig than Justin Trudeau did.
Yeah, I would agree. A lot of people actually slam him for that, though, right? They talk about, career politician. And I laugh and I'm like, in what other career are you mad because the person
Exactly. No, that's a great point. Wouldn't you want the guy to have some idea how that game is played?
Yeah, like if I'm picking a surgeon, I'm not going, you know what? That guy's been around. He's been doing surgery for 25 years. So I think I'll go with the rookie. Like, no. You want someone with experience. I agree. And look, you know what? It will also be very telling who he surrounds himself with, who he actually did surround himself with during his election campaign. And I think, too, if you look at the way his campaign was run, that says a lot about just his skill sets and the skill set of the people with whom he wants to work with. He ran an incredible campaign. I'm biased because one of his national co-chairs is the person I call boss. But look, credit where due. The people, he had Jenny Byrne, he had John Baird, he had Leo Housakos. And those are just some of the people at the top. But I know some of the people who were involved, beneath those people. And I'm telling you, some of the best in the quote unquote business. And these are serious people with serious policy ideas. And I'm really excited and looking forward to what his next steps are. I think what he does with his staffing, what he does with the party will also be very telling. I think he's going to want to put his stamp on things. And I'm really excited about what comes next.
Okay. But isn't it? It's all